Everything's alright. Hooked on a feeling.
He crushed it.
I'm high on
It's a grand slam.
But you're with me.
I'm telling you, it's time to party.
Lips as sweet
Ladies and
as
gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the SoxHub podcast, episode 9, home of the third place Boston Red Sox. I'm your host, Brandon McAlery, and alongside me is the one, the only, the zesty lefty slinger himself, Trotty Too Hottie, a.k.a. Matt Trotta. How you doing?
You know how it be, Mac. Living the dream, running at God's speed. How about yourself, sir?
I am sweating my balls off right now. It is fucking hot outside.
Oh, I love this time of year where it's getting real flirty to 70-degree weather and sunny on a constant basis. Oof. And turn on that
Now, I
AC
do
in
want
the
to say
house.
I'm not. Oh, that sounds so good right now because, like, I'm not complaining about the weather. I want to make that 100% clear. I am just, it's hot right now. Like, I got a little fan going in my background here. I got the windows open. Like, it feels great. It's just hot.
I'm quite comfy here in my little treehouse, my little loft. It's a little too soon for me to break out a fan. No disrespect, but I am
Well, you
much.
probably got central AC.
Yes, and I don't have much on my bones.
Kids
So it
got
takes
money.
more.
All right.
No, I also don't have much on my bones, so it's easier for me to get cold.
Did you just inadvertently call me fat?
No, I was just calling myself a stick,
Yeah, that's what I thought you
the
said.
Slim Reaper.
The Slim Reaper himself.
Mm.
I love it. Well, Red Sox dropped 2 out of 3 against the Twins,
Yeah.
so that was fun.
Hey, we won the last one. We stopped the win streak.
We did. Exactly. Stop the win streak. Going into Atlanta, not to jump ahead, but jump ahead here. Going into Atlanta with a W on the plate. And honestly, I know you probably, for those of you who don't know, Trott is a high school baseball coach, also coaches baseball full-time. So again, full-time jobs. He doesn't have the ability to watch every pitch, even though, he said he did at the start of the season. But even though you didn't watch the games fully, they actually didn't look too bad. They put together some good at-bats, and they were competitive at-bats.
That's huge.
The numbers don't show it, but they were.
And
This team's got heart.
that they do. That, like we said last pod, that was a massive test for them. That's probably one of the best 1-2-3 punches that we're going to see in a pitching staff for quite a while throughout the season. I mean, they actually handled themselves, overall pretty well at the plate, based on the scores, based on the hit totals. And then our defense didn't really fall apart in this series either against the Twins. I felt like that was pretty huge as well. Outside of the Reese McGuire opening day, that was horrific. The floodgates opened on that. You take that individual play out of it, I'll live with it.
Fair enough. I got scared. They put David Hamilton, not to jump ahead, but jump ahead. They put David Hamilton in short at one point, and Christ, what are we doing? We've seen this show before. So before we jump into the games recaps here and stuff like that, there's one thing that I wanted to talk about. It is on the rundown here, and I put it towards the bottom. Actually, it's the first thing on the rundown, but I was going to talk about it later.
What do you got?
Wilyer Abreu for Rookie of the Year. I think that right there, I think he's a sneaky underdog pick right now.
It's got a lot of value.
Lot of value.
You stretch it back to last year, his numbers are really close to 300 batting average, are they not? And God, I'd be really curious how many extra base hits he has in that time span.
Let's look it up.
I remember seeing a tweet about this the other day.
Now, I will say to him, he he made me so nervous. Like, I was done with him at one point at the start of the year, but he's really,
Yeah, the first
really
couple
turned
series,
it around. I will say that.
first couple of series, it took him a little bit to get going, but once he did, he hasn't really stopped. Not even a little bit. Gosh darn it. I want to find this.
And how many extra base hits he had? Because he had 24 hits last year, 2 home runs, 6 doubles. Okay, so he had 8 extra base hits and 85 at and
I have a really good,
24
I have a really
hits.
good, I have a great nug that I just found on Twitter from
Hit me.
Boston Sports Info. Wilyer Abreu, Red Sox players through their first 52 career games in the last 50 years with greater than or equal to 150 at-bats, greater than or equal to 315 batting average, greater than or equal to an OBP of 390, greater than or equal to a slug of 500. Wilyer Abreu and Fred Lynn, excuse me. That is the end of that list.
If he
What
asked
you say,
me,
buddy?
I say that's pretty impressive. And if he asked me, we won that Wilyer Abreu, the Christian Vasquez trade.
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. Is Vasquez even really getting playtime these days? What's going on with him?
He caught game 2, I believe. But I mean,
Okay.
Jeffers is our best hitter in the lineup right now. I mean, he's batting like 321 with 9 home runs now, maybe 10 after this weekend.
So he's
I
just
forgot when I saw the 9
a
home run
platoon guy
stat.
now. He's just a platoon guy.
Not even.
Vasquez.
He's
So,
a backup,
yeah.
if anything.
Here's where Wilyer, excuse me, I'm sorry, Wilyer ranks among qualified rookies thus far throughout the year. First in batting average at 313. Second in OBP, 391. Fourth in OPS. First in doubles. Sixth in RBIs. Fifth in walk rate percentage. Second in extra base hits.
Was that out
Wilyer-
of qualified rookies?
Yes, it was out of qualified rookies. And currently with, I think the last time we did this podcast, I reached out to you and gave you the rookie of the year where it was, and we have the timestamp on the text at the time of where he was odds-wise to win the rookie of the year. Go look that up while I go over his current odds in our text chain. He's at plus 550 for rookie of the year.
Really? 'Cause I thought I
you-
just saw plus 1,000.
That's on FanDuel. If you put $10 in, it's for 55. And I think,
So he was at plus 1,000 when you texted me on Monday, April 29th.
good Lord, that happened fast. He's now
Yeah.
top 3.
I mean, it's at this point, it probably sounds like he's not even an underdog for rookie of the year.
Not anymore.
But when you think about what this man did to come into the season, struggle the way that he did, offensively and defensively, whether it seemed like he had something to prove, he was trying too hard, pressing too hard out there, whatever it may have been, for Core to give him a little bit of belief, confidence, and faith. And then when all those injuries happened, he stepped up the biggest out of anybody. And now he's batting freaking cleanup for us in the middle of the Boston Red Sox lineup. And I know he's not your traditional cleanup hitter in the sense of like, he doesn't have 7 or 9 home runs right now or anything like that. But let me tell you, that boy takes some daddy hacks when he's up there.
He's a smart hitter.
He's a thick boy.
He's a
thick boy.
He's a thick guy. He has a thick barrel, and he knows how to use it. And he knows when to pull the trigger at the right time.
That's the key part, using that big barrel to pull the trigger at the right time.
Indeed.
100%.
Indeed. He just the decisions in the batter's box on the swings he takes. I have very rarely gotten frustrated at this guy for a poor swing decision. Sometimes, don't get me wrong, like Tristan Costas, but not to that level. The take decisions, I'm like, come on, man. You could have freaking stroked that. But overall, for a rookie, when you compare it to other rookies on our team in the past and current, like just go look at him and Lil Rafi and compare their plate discipline and their IQ and knowledge of the strike zone. And you would take Wilyer all day long over a little Rafi plate approach right now. And god darn it, like
So
borderline Wilyer Jesus, sorry, is playing, dare I say it, well above average defense for us in right field.
I was just going to say that because, like, you talked about the plate approach and everything like that, the plate, the discipline, the knowledge of the strike zone. But that man has filled, I don't want to say filled a hole, but like people worried about right field over there and stuff. He has done, like, he makes easy plays look hard sometimes, don't get me wrong, but he's done a phenomenal job in right. He hustles after everything, and he's made already some crazy plays out there, especially at Fenway Park.
I think I'm speaking for all of Red Sox Nation when I say nobody missed Alex Verdugo like spring training and opening day, and they definitely don't miss him at all anymore. The way this dude is playing,
I
massive
I
upgrade.
think the second that Alex Verdugo left, it was just like it was an applause, it was a cheer, it was a parade. Like, I even think the team was probably like, maybe there was a couple guys who missed him, but like the way like the vibe is in there, like I think Verdugo leaving, those players were happy. Needless to say, I have no evidence to back that up. But I just feel like they were like, all right, good riddance. Let's get somebody in here who's going to work hard. And Wilyer has fit that fucking shoe perfectly.
I'll take him any day of the week.
Amen. Now, this brings up an interesting topic here because you talked about look at Wilyer versus Rafi. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a thought that popped into my head here. What do you think leads to Rafi's plate approach and him just being an ambush hitter? Because I have a theory that little Rafi is a little cocky, and not in a bad way and stuff like that. I mean, the results it shows in a bad way, but like he goes up there like, I'll fucking hit whatever the hell you throw at me. I'll just throw it and I'm gonna swing at it. Like, because he takes a big swing when he's up the plate for a smaller guy, for a guy whose job is to kind of flatten out, stay level, put the bat on the ball and hit it hard somewhere, like just find a barrel and find a gap type thing. He takes some big swings up there. And I think, I don't want to say he's overly confident because, again, the results don't show that. But, like, I think he goes up there thinking that he's the baddest motherfucker on that baseball field in that moment and just takes daddy hacks. And I think that leads to a certain plate approach right there, is that level of confidence stepping into the batter's box. So I'm curious what do you maybe think causes his plate approach? Because like it's got to be so tough for like a hitter to go from being an ambush hitter to suddenly a patient hitter. Like, you either know the strike zone or you don't.
I feel like you're seeing a lot of immaturity, naturally so, with a rookie, where he's probably being fed a plan and philosophy approach to go into it with, which is more than likely very far against the grain of his natural playing style and what he grew up playing and what got him here. He probably is not fully bought into that philosophy and approach, and maybe goes back to that ultra aggressive state. Because there are glimmers in his at-bats over the course of the year where you're like, dude, Jesus Christ, this guy's taking BP in a baseball game. He's swinging at 90% of these pitches. And then there's other times where I'm like, damn, is he really showing growth and maturity? He just took a really great pitch in that count. He's starting to look a little bit more mature up there. And next at bat, he's swinging for the fences on pitch 50 feet in front of the plate. It just seems like it's a straight up BP. I'm just going to swing at anything, like you said. I can hit anything. And it's very minimalistic, it seems, because of all of the swing and miss.
So, because you just said it, I would love to watch little Rafi take some BP and just see what his actual approach is in BP. Because, like, I wonder if he is a home run type of guy in BP where, like, he just tries to fucking hit out of the park every time, or if he's, like, trying to let the ball get a little bit deeper and go the opposite way. Is he trying to work on catching it out front? Things like that. I'm curious what his BP approach looks like. I almost feel like they need to stick him in a batter's box and like track bullpens and like call out if it's a striker ball like before it hits the catcher's mitt and see if he's right or wrong.
See if he can figure out what pitch it is too.
Yeah,
that would be a good idea based off the spin, because it seems like he has a tough time recognizing breaking ball.
Now, you also said something as well here, with like the immaturity aspect of stuff. I also feel like, and it's very clear here that like Cora, but the organization as a whole has a long leash with Rafi just because he signed a deal. So there's no incentive to like really send him down unless he's really, really struggling. But obviously we don't even have a shortstop right now, so he's got to play that position.
Be a bad look if we send him down.
Yeah, so I know we are not going to. So I think there's going to be a lot of learning on the job with Rafi and a lot of patience, no pun intended, considering he has none here. But when it comes to hitting, but like patience with his maturity as a baseball player, because I think like come because I think he's only 22. Come like his age 24, 25 season, like I think the deal that he signed is going to look like pennies on the dollar.
Sander Bogart struggled his rookie year with us. Look how he ended up.
Ended up being one of the best two strike hitters in baseball.
Indeed. Not saying
All right.
Rafi will
That was
turn out like that, but give the man a shot more than 1/5 of the season.
Yeah, seriously. And like I said, for anybody that is complaining about Rafi's bat, which in fairness, at least in the Twitter universe and on Instagram and stuff like that, I haven't seen anybody really complain about his like. We know this is going to come. Like this is what his approach is. We know that as long as he plays defense, we're fine. Like I haven't seen anybody hate on his offensive numbers like at all. And on top of it too, he's leading the team in RBIs.
Yeah. Mainly be due to that 7 RBI legacy game that he had.
Well,
But still, that can't go unnoticed.
but still,
Can't go unnoticed.
nope. All right, jump into a little bit of a recap here.
Let's do it. Hit me with it. Hit me with it.
So I didn't take many notes for Fridays and Saturdays game just because Friday I was out and about. I watched the game, but just was not able to take notes. And then Saturday I was driving home and listening to the game for the most part. So I pretty much just have like the stat lines, but I knew what happened. Anyways, first game, Friday, May 3rd, 5-2 loss. Chris Paddock, who we were not worried about, but also worried about because of what his past had shown and stuff like that, absolutely just shoved it down our throat. 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 6 Ks, 1 walk. He was just put it bluntly, like just dominant that whole game. 2 hits, 1 walk. That's pretty damn impressive from Chris Paddock there.
Big time.
Griffin Jacks comes in. Actually, yeah, I think it was Griffin Jacks first. Doing innings pitched, 3 Ks, and then Donnie Sands, Jerry Sands, some Sands dude. I have no idea who he is. Some lefty jerk off comes in and lets up a 2-run double to Devers. That was almost a 3-run shot. Literally missed it by like a foot. Oppo. Devers is really feeling himself, but we're not going to jump ahead here. And then Johan Duran came in and just slammed the door on us. That dude is filthy.
A sinker, a splinker, and a slider, right? Jesus.
Yes.
A splinker?
And
good night of living, man.
He threw, I heard some stat on there from OB. He threw 424 fastballs last year that averaged above 101 miles per hour, I believe.
Is that good?
Yes.
102.
That's good. You want to throw the
damn.
ball hard and throw it often for strikes, and he does just
Good
that.
Lord.
That man is
with sink.
electric.
With sink.
Like, think about this, a splinker, okay? For those of you at home, maybe a casual baseball fan, that is a splitter sinker, okay? I've never heard of it. Maybe people have thrown this before in the past.
Probably
it's just
not.
Johan Duran makes this look. People want to tell me football is harder than baseball. Go step in the box against Johan Duran and tell me that football is harder than baseball.
You're lying if you think that. Either that or you just are pissed off at a sport that you sucked at growing up as a little guy.
Yeah.
On Little Diamond. Moved over
Like
to lacrosse.
seeing 90. Side note, I used to shit on everybody that played lacrosse in high school because it was just full of kids that got cut from the baseball team.
Yeah, usually. Either that or they didn't want anything to do with baseball and they were really big into hockey for my town specifically.
that was pretty much the other 25% of the team for me. And like the occasional football player that just wanted to continue hitting dudes during the spring.
Go give him a long stick, a long shaft for him to dangle around and spank.
To cradle.
And go spank a guy around, running around, twisting and turning, twirling around.
Yeah. Go play a man sport like baseball.
Yeah,
where you wear a
man.
whole uniform.
Yeah.
And you literally have to hit home runs and jog around the base, all right?
Yeah.
And then stand there and wait for a ball to be hit to you, all right?
And
Go play a man sport.
And if you hit someone that's not with a baseball and it's with our stick, a policeman's probably called.
You're probably that's assault, brother.
Yep, yeah, it is. I don't know if we're making a
What
good
movie
case
is
for
that
it.
from?
That's assault, brother. Oh God, I'm gonna
Yep.
punch myself in the face for not remembering it. It's on the tip of my tongue. That's assault, brother. God damn. What movie? Movie quote of the day.
Movie quote of the day brought to you by Kevin Barnaby of Nor'easters Baseball and The Groton School. Movie quote of the day. That's assault, brother. Billy Madison.
Yep. God darn it.
So, sidetrack there. Tanner Houck goes 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 2 walks, 5 Ks. Now, his outing was not as bad as that line pertails because he had pitched in the 6th, allowed 2 runs to this point, and then they brought in I still can't pronounce his first name. Naoyuki Uwasawa.
Right.
For his major league debut, who went 2 innings pitched, 1 run, 2 walks, 2 Ks. But he did allow some inherited runners there for Houck, and that kind of killed him a little bit.
Yeah. It did. Wasn't that the Reese McGuire play?
Yeah, that was a little swing and bunt that went out over the plate. Reese thought to try to gun the guy out at second,
Make
but
a hero play.
Here's the thing: when you try to get a guy out at second, now Trotta, I don't know if you know this, you typically want to throw the ball to the bag because then it's easier to get the guy out. Whether it's a force play, which is where you step on the bag, or a tag play where you tag the runner, you want to throw the ball to the bag, and he didn't do that.
No, he did not.
That was
You
atrocious.
think Connor Wong makes that play?
Considering I watched him make a play where he bounced behind home plate, bounced right out from there, slid on one knee, picked up the ball, and on his back foot
One smooth.
threw a fireball to first base. Yeah, I think Connor Wong could probably make that play.
Either that, or do you think he's making the IQ? Let's get an out play and conservatively go.
I was just going to say that at this point, and especially at that point, you just needed an out. Last thing you needed to do was send that ball into the outfield.
Mentally,
because then you're looking at a 3-2 game instead of a 5-2 game. Or at that point, it would have been a 3-0 game, as opposed to a 5-0 game, whatever it was.
Do you think,
or a 5-2 game is what it came out to.
Do you think mentally here, Reese is seeing himself on the bench quite consistently due to what Connor Wong has been doing, and he's trying to do a little too much on that play? What do you think?
To that play specifically, maybe a little bit gets in his head there, but I think Reese knows his role.
Yeah.
I think Reese probably wants to be an everyday catcher and stuff like that, as any Major League Baseball player wants to. But I think Reese knows his role on this team of like, Cora's going to play the hot hand of whoever's hitting better, playing better defense, whatever it may be. He's going to play that hot hand. And so he knows that his time will come eventually. I think Reese knows his role, and I don't think he's trying to do too much to that plate specifically, though. Maybe he's like, maybe if I do this, I'll be on the Sports Center's top 10, which they don't even really do anymore.
Nobody pays attention to it. It's unfortunate.
Do you remember as a kid waking up and like can't wait to watch Sports Center when you were waking up in the morning?
My day wouldn't start until I watched the top 10.
Like religiously.
Yep.
Like literally from like 6th grade probably till, I don't know, 18, 19 years old or something like that. It was like every day. And then SportsCenter the past like 10 years, I feel like just steep drop. Nobody cares anymore.
Yeah, they started going downhill once they started constantly covering LeBron James stuff. Oh, LeBron James
Yes.
is going to the refrigerator to go grab a cup of water. Breaking news. LeBron James is going to take his nap. Breaking news. LeBron James has woken up from his nap and is now eating a protein shake and is then going to the gymnasium to shoot hoops. Dude, there's baseball being played here right now as well, and you aren't even talking about that. But I know what cereal LeBron James is eating for breakfast and what color his piss is to know how hydrated he is throughout the day. The extent of the coverage there, that's what brought down my interest specifically. Sorry, LeBron, and for those LeBron fans out there, but ESPN ruined it for me specifically when they started constantly talking about that guy in the NBA and eliminated baseball content from their whole entire show.
Hot 93.7. Tell them why you're mad.
Sorry. They ruined it. They
No,
had such a good thing.
I love it. To be honest with you, Hot 93.7, Tell them why you're mad. Shout out Western Mass people. It was like a station that played like hip hop and R&B music, and they would have a segment, Hot 93.7, Tell them why you're mad, and people would call in and just tell them why they're mad, and they would do like rapid fire with this. And one day I was in the car listening to this, and 2 times in a row, one of them goes, Hot 93.7, tell them why you mad. And he goes, man, I just dropped my blunt out the window.
That's awesome.
And then the next one, so like they cut that one immediately. They go, Hot 93.7, tell them why you mad. And this woman's like, my baby daddy don't be paying me no money or something like that. And it went on a tangent with that one.
Sounds great.
Nah, that shit was funny. So that's where Hot 93.7, Tell them why you mad comes from. Also brought to you by Trotta's Tangents.
Another episode,
SportsCenter,
another
you
tangent.
suck.
Yeah, figure it out.
LeBron James, be better.
Don't be better,
Baseball
or else they're going to keep
matters.
freaking covering them, and I don't want to deal with it for another 5 years.
BLM, Baseball Lives Matter.
Indeed.
Okay. What they do. So, yeah, Devers was the only offense in game 2. 2 for 5, 2 RBIs. Again, missed a 3-run home run in the 8th by like a C hair. It was Oppo, too. Thought he got all of it. But then we fast forward to game 2, and it was a 3-1 loss. It was a bullpen game for us. Bernardino started the game, 1 inning pitch, 1 hit, 1 K. Greg Weiser came in the second inning, which I thought was interesting seeing him that early. But he comes in, 2 innings pitch, 1 hit, 3 Ks. And then Boozehound comes in. He went 1.1 innings pitch, 2 hits, a run, 2 Ks. He did let up a home run to Max Kepler. And Justin Slayton also pitched, went 1.2 innings pitch, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 K. Didn't really have his best stuff that day. Wasn't really locating too well. But overall, on a day where Pablo Lopez is on the mound and we had a bullpen game, only allowing 3 runs to the hottest team in baseball, I'm not terribly upset about these losses.
No, they're showing some compete as well, so you can't be too pissed.
No, and I will say this: these losses from this Minnesota game, like at the beginning of the year or after pretty much Trevor Story's injury, it was like heartbreaking loss after heartbreaking loss after heartbreaking loss because games we should have won, defensive errors, like no offense, or you can just keep going down the list of all the ways that the Sox lost these games. But these ones, I know it was 5-2, 3-1. We were competitive in each of those. Like the at-bats looked really good. Fighting off pitches, taking some good pitches and whatnot. I know the numbers don't really show it. The first game we had 13 Ks as a team to 1 walk. Second game we had 12 Ks to a team as opposed to 3 walks. But again, Pablo Lopez was on the mound too. I shout out to you because you were right. The one game that worried you was Pablo Lopez for the most part, and you thought we were going to shit all over Joe Ryan, and not to jump ahead, but jump ahead. We didn't necessarily shit all over him, but
we got him enough.
Put up some numbers against him. Now, for Pablo's line, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 8 Ks. He wasn't like overly dominant in this game. Again, I don't know if you watched it or how much of it have you watched, but like he was already at like 60 pitches by the fourth inning.
Yep.
So I was like, we might get him out of here by like the fifth, like during the sixth at the earliest, like get him to like 95 pitches or something like that. Like we were putting up good at bats against him, but then he just got into a groove after that. And once a pitcher that is a Cy Young, potential pitcher gets in a groove like that, it's tough to stop him.
It's game over at that point.
Yep. Wilyer Abreu, 2 for 4 with an RBI. Also had 2 Ks. And that was pretty much it. 3-1 loss. It was I don't want to say a heartbreaking loss because it wasn't. It was a competitive loss, but like we had so many opportunities against Pablo and just could not capitalize.
We worked him deep into counts despite the high strikeout total when Pablo was in with 8. The hits were in deep counts. Just unfortunate that we couldn't string anything together. And against a guy that high quality, like we did against Joe Ryan, you need to capitalize on his mistakes in a big way. And we didn't do that simply.
No.
Got to score
we
runs.
did not, my friend.
Normally got to score more than 1 run, even with this pitching staff being so good, to win a baseball game. Scoring 1 run in a baseball game, spoiler alert, you're not going to win many games.
And especially with like what this pitching staff has given you with Pivetta and Whitlock out and Bayo out. What this staff has given you, like as an offense, you've got to be able to capitalize on this stuff. And that's what I think is the most frustrating part, because I feel like we know we can score runs, but I said this in like the second, third, fourth pod of this, and literally like it's like the numbers are skewed. We may look like we're good at offense on paper, but like we have one game where we put up 9-10 runs, 17 runs, whatever it is, and then every other game is like 1 run or less, like, and so like there's no in between when it comes to that, and that's what's frustrating.
Definition of your polarizing offense.
Oh yeah, and trust me, we're gonna talk about that.
Oh yeah.
Now fast forward to game 3.
Speaking of polarizing,
I have some.
I was just saying because we went from scoring 1 run to 9 runs in a matter of like 12 hours.
So fast forward to game 3. I'm listening to the pregame here, and Jemai Webster was interviewing Jarren Duran in the game. And yes, I said Jarren. Lizard Duran. By the way, this is our new friend, JD the Angry Lizard. He may be a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but guess what? They were all lizards. He's a reptile.
Hi.
That's how he sounds out of all things.
Yeah.
For those of you that are listening through podcast and not on video, Trotta has a little tiny hand T-Rex on his hand here.
I'm a hand puppet from Ace Hardware. And I am the spirit animal of the Angry Lizard. Shout out, Jarren Duran. Meow.
You might have a future in ventriloquism. I'm not going to lie to you. I truly believe that was the dinosaur. I mean, Angry Lizard talking.
It is. What are you talking about?
It's weird, man. Be quiet. Be quiet. Be quiet. All right. Go home. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
We'll let you know when it's time to come back in and put your 2 cents in here.
You're back in your cage. You're back in there. Go get.
Don't make me take my belt off.
You get, boy. Come on. Get over there.
Thank you.
All right. So Jemai's interviewing Duran, and Jemai asked him about, like, when you're in a slump, like what do you do to try to get out of a slump like this? And Jarren Duran's answer, and this is how you know Jarren Duran has matured as a baseball player compared to even last year, but 2 years ago. he had said, I don't have the exact quote pulled, but honestly, I don't think too much about it offensively because there's so much I can do on defense to help this team, and that helps me get out of slumps. Because like maybe I go for 3 at the plate, but I make a great play in the field, or I'm throwing a guy out, or make a catch, whatever it may be. I'm helping my pitchers out, and I'm helping us out defensively, and that right there can help you get out of a slump. And that comment, I love that comment. I really do.
Guys trying to inspire. Guys trying to lead. Got to respect it.
Baseball players at home, take note of that. That if you're in a hitting slump, there's plenty of more ways that you can help your team other than trying to hit your way out of a slump. Actually, that might have been his exact quote. I don't try to hit my way out of a slump. I realize that I can help out defensively, and that helps him mentally get through a slump.
Wise words from the angry lizard himself.
Wise words from the angry lizard himself. And we're going to talk about the angry lizard this game. So Sox win 9-2. Let's get into some notes because I did take notes on this game.
Yes, sir.
Cooper Criswell might have some big nuts here. Bases loaded, 1 out in the bottom of the second. Next note, the nuts are getting bigger. And then I said, yup, they're there. They're massive, just dragging off the mound because this dude, actually, before it was 1 out, it was bases loaded, no out, strikes out a guy, strikes out another guy, and then gets a ground ball right back to him, and then boom, throws him out at first, or actually flipped it to home for the out. Like bases loaded, no outs.
Athlete.
Criswell's line 4.1 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 run, 5 Ks. And I really want to throw this out there.
What do you got?
Everybody all offseason, even going into the season, were giving the Boston Red Sox shit because they made 1 signing. And they spent $1 million on Cooper Criswell. Okay? And Coop, that's not a sexy name, all right, when you're thinking about baseball here. God damn it, I closed the thing that had his numbers up, all right? When you think about baseball, Cooper Criswell is not the first person that pops into your head when you think of MLB baseball or even the Boston Red Sox, okay? But for $1 million, and we all got shit on for signing Cooper Criswell, this man has gone out there and pitched so well for us. Like, either deserves a spot as a long relief guy once the rotation's healthy. Like, he's at least going to get another turn back because not to jump ahead, but jump ahead. Pavetta's coming back this week, and then Bayo should be following him after that next week. So he at least has a spot until Whitlock's back. But, like, this man deserves some spot on this team because he, like, and I feel like you could probably appreciate this having been an ex-college pitcher, pitching coach, all this stuff. Like, he gets the ball and he pitches. And I know we've talked about it a lot, but like he goes fast, he gets into a rhythm and just goes. And like he trusts his stuff. And that's what I love about Coop.
He doesn't have the fastest fastball in the world, that's for sure. He doesn't have the best breaking ball, that's for sure. Doesn't have the best changeup in the world, that's for sure. But he has confidence in his shit, and he knows how to maximize it, each pitch, in each situation. And he's trusting the plan and approach that the coaching staff, specifically Andrew Bailey, is drawing out for him, and he's playing extremely well. He has been going off this year so far. I mean, like, dude, a 1.74 ERA in 20 2/3 innings. He started 4 games. His first opportunity was out of the pen. I believe that was the one opportunity out of the pen right there. He's only had 4 walks and 16 strikeouts in these 20 2/3 innings. And he has a 1.07 whip. This man is a model of efficiency and kind of is putting a little asterisk next to your earlier statement when you want to throw the ball with an extremely large amount of velocity behind it at a high percentage in the strike zone. Because quite frankly, Cooper Criswell and a lot of these other Red Sox pitchers, granted, are low, mid-90s at best. Darting in and out the corner, making it look 2/3 of the way a strike until it's the last third, and it's a baseball or 2 or more out of the strike zone.
I will say this. I was watching the game Friday with my dad. First time I've watched a Red Sox game with that man in probably 10, 15 plus years.
Happy to hear, man.
And I don't he hasn't watched as much baseball recently over the past couple of years. And so he was watching Houck start. And as we know, Houck throws absolute boomerangs in there with his slider. He goes, Babu. My nickname with my dad. He goes, did you see that pitch? Like amazed. Like it's the first time he's ever seen it. Like he just discovered who Tanner Houck was. I was like, yeah, he does that on a nightly or every 5 days he does that. Like this ain't nothing new. And like every time we throw it, he'd be like, Babu, look at it. That thing literally. And I was like, yeah. And I feel like Coop's that same way where like a lot of those pitches, man, like they start and then dart right out on that inner or outer half, depending on where he's trying to go with it. Like he controls a game when he's on a mound. Like he's going to pitch at his own pace. And I love that.
Guy's an artist out there. He's playing chess. He's 4 steps ahead, 5 steps ahead. He sequences his arsenal beautifully together. And
Yep.
I don't see any reason why this is not going to continue no matter what role he is in. I'm not really worried about the sustainability of what he's doing, whether it's a starting role or a long relief role or a mid-relief role. Because honestly, this dude is just up here trying to do what is best for the Boston Red Sox. We talked about this on one of the first podcasts when we were going over this individual, Cooper Criswell, and how you enjoyed his first interview with the Red Sox. And Nesson was, hey, you're normally a starter. Like, what's your role going to be on this team? And like, how you feeling about that? He's like, I don't care what my role is. I will do whatever it takes to help this organization and this ball club win games. I don't care if it's starting. I don't care if it's closing. I don't care if it's a long relief. I will do whatever it takes. That man's going to continue to succeed all year long and hopefully get his bag in the offseason.
Again, what really like kind of frustrates me about this Sox team is that they're like sneaky good. You know what I mean? They're underneath the radar good.
They're flirty.
But they're very lovable.
Mm-hmm.
Like
they're flirty.
You have guys like Cooper Criswell, who's just a dog. Like exactly what you just said to his first Nesson interview to where he is now, willing to do whatever he can to help the team win. You have Boozehound, who came up out of nowhere, like died in a plane crash and resurrected like Jesus Christ himself, and is now throwing 97. And you have him on the team who just works hard, grinds to get to where he is. You have Bernardino with his background to get to where he is, especially how his start of the season was in AAA to his road to the MLB again and stuff like that. You just have a bunch of dudes on this team, like staff, let alone team, that are just dogs, man, that are like here to do anything that they can to help this team win. And that's what's frustrating is that like there's so many lovable guys that are outperforming almost every metric that there is to outperform.
Yes, indeed they are. And we're not asking for all of them to continue at this rate. It's not what is realistic here. What is realistic, though, to ask is that around 30-40% of these guys continue doing what they're doing at this level or try and put it in one extra gear upwards. It's going to be tough with the injuries, but we're starting to get some guys back here.
That's big.
The offense is polarizing, man, but I truly think that we're much more going to trend closer to the, oh my God, we're scoring 8 runs a game. I can smell that tear coming at some point this year. We're so close to it, I can feel it. Like putting up 9 runs on a getaway day against Joe Ryan, I mean, dude, like that says something. A lot of teams would flop in that last game, especially on the road when they have another road series that they got to get to. But here are the Red Sox yet again, treating another game, every pitch like it's a playoff atmosphere and scraping out 1 out of 2. And that's much better when you're looking at the grand scheme of things and how many baseball games this team is going to need to win to be in playoff contention. That win right there was massive, not only for the long term, but for the short term here for these young guys' confidence.
It was also massive because we put an end to this stupid fucking sausage thing that the Twins were throwing around. I don't know if you saw that or heard about that, but they had the it was a sausage from like the first win that they had in the dugout. So they
Uh-huh.
they pretty much wrapped this thing up in whatever, and they kept it with them on their win streak.
A sausage.
And yeah, and so like if they hit a home run or something like that, they would throw the guy the sausage and all that. And it just like I'm just so happy to be done with this whole sausage talk. We
Yeah.
took that sausage and just bit right into it.
Yeah, bit that
For
thing
one game.
off. It's a little weird. A little weird rally
Yep.
cry,
Um,
but it worked.
continuing on here, Joe Ryan hides the ball well and is smooth like
Hmm.
bullet slider whiskey.
Oh, he's smooth, baby. Very smooth.
But I don't know. Have you watched Joe Ryan throw recently, or like just seen what his actions look like on the mound?
It doesn't look like he tries, man. It is the smoothest, slow to fast motion.
It is, and it's
aerodynamic now because he chopped all that lechuga off the back of his head. There's no flow anymore, so it just he looks like he's like preparing to swim in the U.S. Olympics now. Very smooth scalp. You know, he's still got some flow on it, but man, that's that much more aerodynamic, making him that much smoother down the slope, down his line. God damn, dude. Looks like he's not even trying, and I'd be curious to see what would happen in another universe where you treat him like a Michael Kopech and you go let him go in the bullpen again, or like a Mason Miller at the Athletics, and you just say, "Hey, here's your inning or two. Go empty the tank, brother, and see how hard he can throw at like a more max effort, violent, full intent level." Because it truly doesn't seem like he's a full intent guy.
it doesn't. And honestly, watching him pitch, like you said, it like it's smooth, but like everything's tight together, and he hides the ball so
Compact.
well. Like he keeps everything here, and then his arm gets long in the back, but it comes through so smoothly, and it syncs up so well with the rest of his body. Now, do you know where he credits his throwing motion to?
Where? Drive line?
It's either polo or water polo, one of them. I forgot which one involves throwing. It's some sort of polo, again, water or not. But he played that growing up for many, many years. And he said he credits his throwing, like not arm health or how hard he can throw or anything, but just his arm motion is credited to that.
Huh.
And I have no idea what a polo player looks like when they're throwing,
Right.
but I think that's pretty interesting to kind of look into there.
We're going to have to go to a men's league and try it out.
Don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, doesn't normal polo, like Polo Ralph Lauren, require horses and being horseback?
Yes, but again, there's like
Yeah, water polo,
too.
I feel like it
like
would be.
because I feel like on polo you have the stick, and so like you're
Yeah, you're like a windmill
maybe that could
softball
be it
player.
because you're
But it's a softball motion. It's not an overhand.
yeah, but the way that his arm comes back and like
Yeah.
swings through, I could maybe see the
Yeah, I can see that.
you know what I'm trying to say, comparison there, whatever it is.
I can see it.
But I thought that was pretty interesting.
That's pretty cool.
I'm all set with Zach Short. However, we have no other options.
No.
But I'm all set with him.
Yeah, I'm good with him too.
I feel like you'll appreciate this as a pitcher. Nothing more satisfying than freezing a hitter with two strikes, like throwing a pitch right down the dick and they just freeze. Because it might have been Coop who was pitching at this point. I think it was, and it was Alex Kirilloff at bat, maybe, or Max Kepler, one of the lefties up. And oh no, it's Edouard Julien. And he sits there and he's got the guy 3-2. And he just throws a sinker that starts in the inner half and then works into a lefty. And my God, like this dude just froze. Like watch the pitch right down the dick and just froze. And I feel like there's got to be no more satisfying feeling than that. Like, yep, I got you. You were sitting off speed. Not today, buddy.
It's great to win the physical warfare. But that right there is straight mental warfare. It's psychological right there. And when you get that on diamond, that just feels. There's not many better feelings right there. You just live in rent free.
Rent free. The one run that Coop did let up was to Ryan Jeffers, who we spoke about before. But I swear I knew Ryan Jeffers was going to hit that home run because Coop was in a groove this at bat. He got him 0-2 very, very quickly. And just how Coop does, he gets the ball, he gets a sign, and he goes. And he was in a groove, and he was feeling good. And I said to myself, I go, if I was Jeffers here, which I know every hitter is going to do with 2 strikes, this is not like ingenious thinking. I go, but definitely call timeout and take that extra 8 seconds that you can get.
Correct.
Because that extra 8 seconds I feel like being a guy who values and coach base running religiously, I teach that pitchers are creatures of habit. And I feel like when you have a pitcher like Coop Criswell, who's just in a groove on the mound, gets the ball and go, you call that timeout. And like, not that something changes or something like that, but you just get him out of rhythm for that 8 seconds or whatever it is. And boy, did he just do a sinker that caught too much of that plate. And Jeffers went low on it and out in front, and bada bing, bada boom. But then we exploded and scored 9 runs. So who cares? This next one, very interesting. Jaron Duran. He hears this song and he comes right out of his cage.
He just broke through that, baby. Get back in there. Get back in there. What are you doing? Yeah.
The Angry Lizard himself, and actually OB reference Angry Lizard here. He goes, Jaron Duran turned a broken bat ground ball into a double. So just let me lay out the scene for you here. He's up. He's a lefty. Defense is slightly shifted over to the right-hand side, but not like terrible. And gets jammed in on the hands. Broken bat. Goes down the left, not even right down the left field line, but almost in between the third baseman and the left field line. And third baseman dives for it, couldn't get to it. And it just trickles into the outfield. And the Angry Lizard himself just busting out of the box around first. Goes right to second base, slides in there, and he's safe. And I said, God, I love this man. But OB referenced the Angry Lizard. He goes, as Lou likes to call him, the Angry Lizard, as he runs the second base. Shout out Angry Lizard. For those of you who don't know, Trotta did release the logo, but we are going to make shirts that have an Angry Lizard logo on the back there.
Yes, sir.
Of Jaron Duran. Shout out Trotta for getting that graphic there. So look out for some SoxHub merch coming your way soon with some Angry Lizard stuff there. Yeah, we're talking about you, JD.
Those shirts are freaking sweet. You're going to want one.
But
I'm telling you.
Everybody's going to want one. How do you not? Going to try to gift one to Lou and Duran himself because they're pretty sick shirts. But also, too, like an Angry Lizard. That's a hell of a nickname.
Yes, indeed. Shout out to Lou Maloney.
Shout out. Friend of the pod.
I'm going to go rest.
But yeah, so just broken bat ground ball turns it into a double, and just the hustle out of him, game-changing type speed. It was electric. He finished the night 2 for 5 with 2 runs scored. Then I said, this team hustles. God, I love Rob. But then shortly after that, Rob ends up coming out with a hamstring injury. So yet another thing. What worries me about that is Trey Turner literally went down that same day, I think.
Yeah.
And he's out for 6 weeks with a hamstring injury. So
Just depends on the
praying
category
it was
of it.
like, yeah, I'm praying it was
Whichever way.
like just precautionary. Like we knew that we had the off day on Monday, like let him rest up and see if he's good. But I haven't heard any news on him.
Hopefully he'll be all right. Hopefully it's nothing crazy. Hopefully it's just a
Amen.
level 1.
I did already mention this, but Wilyer for Rookie of the Year.
Woo!
Batting cleanup as a rookie and doing what he's doing is impressive considering his start.
Yup.
And then Little Raffy, his lone hit of the game, was a home run, 2 RBIs, and that was a big one because that put us up 2-1 at that point. And I wrote Little Raffy out here doing big things, clutch. And then I said I miss Bob. I'm not too sure what happened. It might have been a play in the field, but I miss Bob. And a lot of this might have had to do with the fact that Garrett Cooper was up to bat and hit a ground ball back to the pitcher for a ground out, and I was like, Bob could have fucking done that.
Bob Cade.
I'm curious your take on this. So
Bob did hit a home run the other night, though, for the Worcester Red Sox.
Yes, he did, and you you immediately texted me right after and said, "Count it,"
Yeah, what a shock.
or something along those lines.
What a surprise.
What a shock!
First of 72 on the year.
Oh, he's going to break the minor league record.
Yep.
I have zero doubt.
He's
At
gonna
one point,
obliterate
he's going to
it.
be 33 years old.
Yep. He's going to be the freaking master.
One of my favorite things as a baseball coach was sitting there and giving, like, I never gave signs to catchers, but like if I wanted a certain thing in a certain count, like you could see a hitter's just kind of picking up on sequence or something like that, was a fake shake.
Oh.
And so I'd give the sign, like I would just run my finger around and the catcher would do the same thing, and the pitcher, just fake shaking 2-3 off before getting their pitch. And I love the fake shake because now you, like, if you're, I shouldn't say a good hitter, but like a lot of hitters are going to think about it like, oh shit, like he just shook me off. Maybe he's not going to throw the pitch that I thought he was going to throw. And obviously it messes up a whole rhythm in the box and all this stuff. PitchCom has kind of ruined that. Like, unless there's a button here that says like fake shake, fake shake, fake shake, and then you give the pitch, you know what I mean? Like, PitchCom has kind of ruined that.
So,
like, has taken that fun out of it.
Yeah, so I can speak to this a little bit here. So high school allows you to use PitchCom. It's not the button pressers. So you have like myself as the pitching coach and whoever's behind catching for us on that given game. I will have my communication system on. I'll have a headset on attached to a thing that I can mute and unmute to be able to talk one way to my catcher. My catcher cannot speak back. He can just hear me in the earpiece. And we more than have elemented the shake. And all you have to do is simply say, hey, 3 shake, fastball, middle in, let's get it. Mute. Then you see your pitcher go, and then pow strike 3 looking on that fastball, starting middle, and it goes on that inside corner like we talked about. Like, this psychological warfare, that mental game. 1-0 Redmen all day. Shout out to Tewksbury, by the way. 3 straight huge W's tonight, specifically on a barbarically tough road opponent in Lawrence. Getting an extra inning win. Just the boys are hot. They're playing baseball in a beautiful and inspiring and incredible way, very similar to how we feel the Red Sox are. And quite frankly, man, this group is special, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to do the rest of the year. Because they're just, it's a good group of kids that work hard every day.
Yeah, they beat Chelmsford, and Chelmsford's good, considering, I coach there.
Big time. They run the base as well.
Go out and do what they've done. But, yeah, shout out Tewksbury Redmond and their high school team playing pretty well. Shout out Trotta, pitching coach. Shout out Matt Feld.
The Fightin' Felds,
head
baby.
coach out there doing big things. The Fightin' Felds.
The Fightin' Felds. Look out, baby.
But so in high school, you're allowed a one-way thing. I wonder, I have no idea, but I wonder if in the MLB, like, that's allowed, or if they truly like if they have an earpiece in, but then also have just the PitchCom thing to use.
I'd be curious of that too, because you wouldn't want what you saw the Trevor Story interview on ESPN I know it wasn't Trevor Story, it was Kike Hernandez with the Dodgers, and his PitchCom was on his hat. And it was being tipped to the broadcast because his microphone was right here for the interviews. I don't think a catcher would have that on him because the hitter would hear him, the umpire, everybody would hear it. So it's got to be an earpiece like they use in high school. And then instead of relaying signs, because that's the element here, like for the high school, they're not clicking a button and then my pitcher has something on his hat where you can hear the robot saying, fastball, slider. They have to get signs still.
I'm sorry, how did they sound?
Fastball, slider. So you got to do the multiple signs to second base piece still in high school, and you simply don't see that there in the MLB. So it's just they're probably getting it in the earpiece and then relaying it by touching their kneecap right there.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
All right, interesting. I was curious about that because, like, I just feel like you like very rarely do you really see somebody shake off in the MLB now with PitchCom. I feel like,
and you just got to have brain power if you want to use that chess element and implement it into the PitchCom or implement it into the communication system. Just make sure your catcher and pitcher have a signal for that sign wise. If you're going to do that, if it's not going to be a verbal thing with a microphone attached, and you're cooling, dude, it's a really overlooked thing that people don't consider to do that can go a really long way.
Amen. Amen. I love the fake shake. Long story short, bring the fake shake back.
Amen.
I like to
Hashtag
shake it.
fake shake.
Hashtag fake shake.
Say that 5 times. Say that 5 times, baby.
Fake shake, fake shake, fake shake, fake shake, fake shake.
Woo!
I'm not gonna lie, I was gonna say that same thing too to you.
Yep.
But it's actually not as hard as I thought it was gonna be.
That was impressive.
Joe Ryan goes 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, 5 Ks. So he still pitched pretty well and he got a quality start out of it. Don't get me wrong, just got beat up a little bit. Then a man comes in who I forgot his first name, but his last name was Funderburk.
Ooh.
And I wrote, might be one of the most interesting names in baseball, Funderburk. He ends up going 1.1 innings pitch with 5 hits, 4 runs, 2 Ks, and one walk. And my next comment after Funderburk might be the coolest name in baseball. I said more like Fundersuck.
Nerd.
Reese with the swinging bunt single. And it goes back to my hustle too. You have Reese McGuire, who gets it off the end of the bat, dribbles it to the left side of the field towards third base side, and just hustled out of the box. You got a righty falling over to the first base side of the mound. You have the third baseman back and just hustled, and he knew it was going to be a hit the second he hit it. And I love that. I really do. You get your fat, slick dick, Reese in palms, has not hit any palms. Reese McGuire running down the freaking line.
He pointed up to the sky and said, Bob, that infield swan single was for you, Bojack. That was for you,
That's
young
exactly
blood.
what he did. You know what? I miss Bob. I'm going to go out here and do what he does best, swinging bunt singles.
And goddamn it, did he make Bob proud out there in Worcester?
And I'm pretty sure he stole third base this game, too. And I think that would have made Bob proud.
Absolutely incredible. What a grit ball he is.
Oh, no, he stole second after that, I'm
A
pretty sure.
sticky
actually.
grit ball, that man, Reese McGuire.
Um,
Just raw dog in life.
Then I continued on with, I need Romy Gonzalez back. Goodbye, Zach Short.
Yeah.
I was done with him. I forgot what he did. I think it was Reese, runner on second base or third base, less than 2 outs, and just struck out.
Yep. We don't need that.
Fast forward, bases get loaded, and Vaughn Grissom comes up, and Will Middlebrooks really says, like, oh, this would be a way to get your first hit with a new club and stuff like that. Have that be like a grand slam. First pitch, Vaughn Grissom, boom. Opposite field, you see him jump out of the box and kind of like, not even like flip the bat up, just flip it right in front of him, pint the shit out of this. And honestly, I thought it was going to be a grand slam, like the way he hit it, and then ends up going off the right center wall. Not the big like pavilion thing, just to the left of that. Ends up scoring 2-run double. That just huge. First hit of the season and first hit as a Red Sox.
Welcome to the show, Vaughn.
Amen.
Happy to have you in Boston.
It's great. I will say this too. One of my mental notes that I made, and it actually came in game 1 because he sat out game 2 of this series, was it is so nice having a real second baseman. Like somebody who's athletic out there. He's actually played some like better defense than I thought he was going to play coming up here. And it's really nice having some like solidarity, solidness.
Opening night, dude.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Opening night, dude, people were fucking on Twitter complaining about this guy's arm action and everything. Be quiet. He's making the plays. He's doing his thing. We get a guy that can actually play second base and who can play it well, and you're trying to nitpick. Knock it off, dude. Just be quiet. Let him rock. His arm action isn't really impacting much here so far. It's not a big deal.
Nothing's going to make Sox fans happy unless they like trade for Shohei Ohtani or something like that.
I don't even think they'd be happy with that. They'd be bitching and moaning that he isn't on the mound and we're paying him $40 million a year to sit at the DH spot and take 4 at-bats a game. We would complain about that. I know I would, because that would be a waste of money, I think, for me personally. But whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, can't make Sox fans happy. Nope. Vaughn Grissom, he's 1 for 5. He's shaking off rust. He didn't have a full spring training, people. All right. the guy's going to be a catalyst in this lineup for years to come. Like I'm telling you right now, the next like 2 to 4 years are going to be very, very exciting for the Boston Red Sox.
Yes, sir. A
Very,
lot of growth.
like I will say this: as much as Heim was Heim, and everybody had their complaints about him and whatnot, truly, you are not going to see the value that Heim had until 2 to 4 years from now with what he drafted and stuff like that. And these young guys and some of those trades that he made, I know that there was some discrepancies on the trades that he didn't make was one of the big criticisms against him. But you're going to see Heim Bloom shine in a couple years here. And a lot of that credit is going to go to him when it's probably going to go to Craig Breswell. But he's going to deserve some of that.
Without a doubt, he should. He should get a little special shout out in a year or two, especially if Kyle Teal comes up, does his job.
Amen. I said the Sun is our best friend. Dom Smith went 1 for 4, but in one at bat he had runners on second and third, I believe. And when Oppo and the Sun, Manuel Margot goes like this, loses it, tips off his glove, drops. They give him a double for it, and 2 RBIs. So I called it the Sun run. But the Sun is our best friend.
Indeed, it is this year.
Amen. Then I said this offense, polarizing offense, and it's so frustrating. It really is. Just you don't know when it's going to happen, when we're going to put up 9 runs or 2 runs or 1 run or 0 runs. Like you have no idea when it's going to happen, and it's frustrating because it's so polarizing. We are either one end of the spectrum or the other. There's like you barely have we had like a 4-3 win, I feel like.
No, very rare. Hopefully it'll come, but
Then I said, and shout out to Trotta for making this dream come true and posting it on our Instagram. What the hell is up with Joe Ryan's sunglasses? He looks like the Vine sunglasses girl. And
Yes,
then
he does.
that's where I got my idea to text you. I was like, we need to make some reel of this.
Oh, that was spot on. Those were Oakley's too. Like, what are we doing? I think once he realized that the camera was on him, because he quickly took off those shades right after the camera panned to him a few times there.
He did. But yeah, so 9-2 win. The other thing too was Angel Hernandez was behind the plate for this game.
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't hear anything negative here.
It wasn't as bad as like Yankees games with him out there, but like it's funny because pitchers think balls are strikes when he's pitching, and hitters think balls are strikes when he's pitching or when he's behind the plate. Like it's miraculous because there was one that Fundersuck, whatever the hell his name is, threw.
Yeah. And
literally he was like, oh, come on. And it was literally like 8 inches above the zone. And the hitter's like, is that going to be strike 3? Like, but yeah, Angel Hernandez behind the plate didn't do the best job by any means, but it was pretty consistent most of the way, so can't complain there. Duran 2 for 5, 2 runs. Devers 2 for 5, 2 RBIs, 2 runs. Ref 1 for 2. Grissom 1 for 5. We talked about Dom Smith. We talked about, and Little Raffy hits a home run for 2 RBIs. Wink came in and pitched 1 innings pitched, 2 hits, and earned a run. Kenley got some work in as well. But yeah, just absolutely obliterated the Twins in that last game, and it was great to see.
Good way to finish the series. You had to leave there on a high note, and they certainly did. The vibes will be good for their trip to Atlanta, and it's going to need to be high here for this 2-game road trip. It's going to be a frisky one that we're going to need to bring our A game. This is a big test. This is arguably the best, if not not arguably a top 3 team, arguably the best team in the National League that we're about to go up against, and we're not facing any of their slouch pitchers here. It's going to be quite a opportunistic chance for this offense to silence the haters and get on the right foot. Would you like me to go fully in the breakdown here, or would you like to finish off anything from your notes?
One stat that I wanted to call out that was brought up during the broadcast: Connor Wong's hitting 16 for 31, so over 500 with 2 outs.
I not to market other pods, but I was listening to Section 10 the other day, and I heard that, like, I assume this stat is true if they're saying it on their podcast. He saw 50 straight fastballs to begin the year when he was in his drought. That's insane. Wow. Before he started going off, that was the case. Absolutely insane statistic if you think about it.
It is. So seeing 50 fastballs to start off the year, but then again, 16 for 31 with 2 outs. Like 2-out hitting is so crucial to keep rallies going, just to spark the offense, getting runs with 2 outs, all this stuff. And right now, he's the best in the league. Honestly, arguably behind William Contreras, he's playing, and maybe Salvador Perez. Like he's a top 5 catcher right now in the league. Just if you look at his stats and the way that he's playing, is that sustainable? Probably not.
The only one in front of him is Salvi, and he's been playing primarily first base, so you can't really necessarily peg that there. So
yeah, like in the American League, out of doubt.
But, yeah, he's number 1.
Contreras, Wong, and Salvi.
He's QB1 not only for the Red Sox, but for the AL All-Star team currently.
I mean, Ryan Jeffers is having a pretty big
game. Screw that guy.
But
screw that guy. Wong dongs. That puts asses in
Wong
seats. Wong dongs put asses in seats. This Jeffries guy
for the whole seat.
This Jeffrey guy probably went to Brigham Young University and doesn't get fans excited. No chance.
No, not like the Wong Dong. No. Why pay for the whole seat when you're only going to sit on the edge?
Amen to that. And Wong Dong gets you on the edge at worst.
Amen. Hit me with the look ahead.
We have quite a good matchup to start on the mound tomorrow on Tuesday, May 7th. We have our guy, Cutter Crawford, getting the start on the road against Reynaldo Lopez. This is a 7:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time stat. We got 2 sub 1.6 ERA guys going after one another here between Cutter and Reynaldo. They're both 2-1 on the year. Cutter's got 10 1/3 more innings pitched than Reynaldo on the year, with 40.1 to Reynaldo's 30. Reynaldo has just over 1 strikeout per inning with 31 to his 30 innings. To match Cutter Crawford, give or take, with 40 Ks to 40 1/3. Cutter has more walks with 13 with more innings pitched, and Reynaldo Lopez has 10 walks in 30 innings. Reynaldo has given up 1 more home run than Cutter's 1. Reynaldo has 2. You got this polarizing offense in the Red Sox going up against a offense that has been allegedly able to fuck all over the place. Quite frankly, this lineup does not scare me in this matchup with Cutter Crawford. I think that his cutter and sweeper are going to keep them off balance for his entire 6 innings. Game 2, we have a TBD.
Hold on, real quick. Game 1, just some stuff for you. Lopez in his last start, which was against Seattle, April 30th, 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 runs, 1 home run, 2 walks, 7 Ks. Pretty much doubled his ERA because he was at a .66 before that and then jumped up to a 1.5. But he's allowed 1 run or less in his previous 4 starts, which is pretty impressive considering Reynaldo Lopez was an afterthought this year. Like he was a starter for Chicago.
The White Sox.
And then became, and then he had some promise, I don't want to say highly touted prospect, but was a prospect for them. And then struggled with his command and stuff like that. Went to Driveline, became a reliever, was throwing upper 90s, was touching hundreds, the hundreds here and there. And then the Braves got him. They used him as a reliever and then turned him into a starter this year. Now, I have a question for you about this.
What do you got?
Going from a starter to a reliever to a starter, right? You were a pitcher. Don't know if you ever did this, but what is the difference in mindset or how hard is that to actually do? I feel like, and this is over the course of seasons, not just in a season where it's probably harder to flip and flop.
So initially as a starter, I mean, you don't have to be locked in every single day. You just have to be locked in every 5th day, for game day. The preparation, at times when success as a starter isn't there, sometimes you look at the preparation pre-game, pre-start day. And normally guys that have really overcomplicated, really overthought routines as starters that don't do well, you go throw them in the bullpen the year after to help them poke them in the right direction of simplifying their routine to get ready and prepare themselves. Not only that, but as a reliever, you have to be locked in every single game, every single pitch. You have to be, give or take, dissecting each hitter as they're coming up throughout the game. God forbid you get your name called for 3 outs. I would say going back, like if we're doing this in the Reynaldo Lopez order of starter to reliever to starter, going back from a reliever once you've shown that you can succeed as a relief pitcher with your stuff in your preparation, I would assume switching back to the starter role is this guy has stuff to sustain more than one time through a lineup. 2, maybe 3 is what probably organizations are expecting. And with the success they had in relief, the conversation with the pitcher is great. You're going back to the starting rotation, but nothing's really changed for you here. And what I mean by that is your preparation pre-outing. We want you to kind of treat it a lot more simplified like it was out of the bullpen for you. That worked really well for you, and I think minimized it in your mind. That would be my assumption for that right there. You got to think that in a little hypothetical because he was in a dumpster fire of an organization with the Chicago White Sox, who don't make the best managerial decisions or organizational decisions, to say the least. But this definitely helped the man grow as a pitcher and a human being on and off the field, because that preparation stuff, I would say, is more so off the field.
Yeah, I can see that. And you made a point that I want to follow up question on here,
Yep.
where like you pitch every 5 days as a starter, and obviously, so like you don't have to be locked in every day as a reliever.
Not necessarily.
But like, well, not necessarily, but like I feel like this is probably depending how you look at this, but like as a reliever, if you don't have it one night, you potentially have the next night to like go out and kind of prove that you have it again.
Reset.
Or if you're really feeling good, you know that you're going to get called on, and like the good times can keep rolling until they stop.
Right.
Or like a pitcher, you have once every 5th day to be able to kind of go out and shove it down the other team's throats. And like if you don't have it, you got to wait 5 more days to go out there and prove it again. And that's where like I wonder like the mentality of like starter versus reliever is just like different, because like say you sucked last start, and I guess this probably goes to just baseball mentality in general, just like thinking each day's opening day, whatever happened in the past, you just kind of forget about. And same goes for a reliever, especially they have to have a shorter memory. But like, I wonder if certain pitchers like, fuck, I got lit up last game or whatever it is, didn't have my best shit. Now I got to prove it out there tonight. And like, maybe they lose it. I have no idea. But my whole point to all this is I feel like a reliever, you have the ability to go out there and have that short memory and prove it night in, night out for the most part here and there. But like, starter, you got to wait 5 days in between that if that does happen.
And depending on the individual, that can either tamper future success or increase it. Certain guys can handle failure really well and learn a lot from it. And through those 4 or 5 days in between starts, they're just improving and updating their hardware. Other guys will just let it eat at them, and carry it into their next outing. No clue if that's what Reynaldo Lopez is about, but there's definitely individuals that are like that.
I was going to say he's one of the best pitchers in the game right now.
Yeah.
Reynaldo also, just not really nug, but like tidbit for you.
Yeah.
50% of the time he's throwing his fastball, 10% of the time his curve, 30% of the time slider, 3% of the time changeup. So he's literally 87% of the time fastball slider.
Yeah, if it's not his fastball, it's going glove side, it seems.
Mm-hmm. What do we got game 2?
All right. So it says TBD, but it's more than likely going to be Nick Pivetta for the Red Sox, back from injury, versus a familiar friend of ours, Christopher Allen Sale, wearing number 51 for the Atlanta Braves. This is going to be weird, man. Nick Pivetta right now has a 1-1 record, a .82 ERA before he went on the shelf, .82 WHIP, 11 innings pitched, 13 Ks, 8 hits, 1 walk, 1 dingo. Chris Sale is 4-1, a 3.44 ERA, a .95 WHIP in 36 2/3 innings. He's 42 Ks in that with 7 walks. The glaring number is 4 home runs to 28 hits. That is really intriguing with our polarizing offense. But the con is that we have a lot of lefties.
Do you think Chris Sale just shoves it down our throat, like being his prior organization and just how competitive he is?
It's going to go one of two ways. Exactly that, and he's going to go throw a shutout for however long he's in, and he's going to go strike out 7 guys. Or he ain't going to make it out of the second inning, and he's going to get absolutely torched. And it's going to be such a mental thing for him. Like, think about it. This dude is at a 10 out of 10 without this little extra on his shoulder playing his old organization. That might get him to like a little too amped up, a little too fired up, a little too much out of his own shoes, trying to be something he's not currently. And that's where it might be able to cost him.
See, I don't know if Sale's that dude. Like, Sale seems like a guy that like has a short memory to a certain extent, like in the sense of just like, yeah, it's my old team, it's Boston, but I'm in Atlanta now. Like,
Doing well, thriving.
This is where, doing well, thriving, and like this has been mentioned before at one point, but like Sale now doesn't have the pressure of being the ace on the team and that like the team on his back type thing. His job is to go out there. Granted, losing Spencer Strider kind of hurts that a little bit, but like he's been able to go out there and just pitch as like a number 3, and he's done an excellent job as a number 3.
He could just get a nice little final monkey off his back here by just shoving it up the Boston Red Sox's ass, and then just really just start rolling the rest of the year. I don't think he's going to do that though, man. I really don't. I think we're going to put up a decent amount of runs off of him, like 4, maybe 5 innings. I think we're going to touch him up a little bit. We know him extremely well. We got a lot of tape on him. And we're going to have a really good offensive plan against that man.
And I mean, honestly, like we know what he's going to throw.
Yep.
He's a fastball slider combo guy as well.
Correct. Pretty straightforward.
Who do you think won the Atlanta trade? Because in my opinion, or the Sale and Grissom trade, I should say. Because in my opinion, like for now, it seems like a win-win to a certain extent where like Braves got rid of somebody who they knew was going to be good, but they had no room for him, and got a piece back in return that is going to be very, very valuable to them. When it comes to the postseason, with his postseason experience, but just having him out there for that. But also, too, with what he's doing to help stabilize that pitching staff and whatnot. And then we got a second baseman out of this that is hopefully for years to come. Like, down the road, we're going to win the trade because of just longevity of it. Yeah. But, like, we got a second baseman out of it all. But, like, I know we've talked about this before, but I know you were so sad when we traded Chris Sale. But, like, how do you feel about it now? I guess I should say.
It's going to suck watching this one, especially if he shoves it. I think if the Red Sox take care of it and get the win, I'll be okay moving forward. And that would be my coping mechanism. So Red Sox kicking his ass.
Amen. I mean, you mentioned what he did on the year, but his last start was May 1st against Seattle. 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 run, 9 Ks, 0 walks.
Sounds like he is in mid-season form. Now, with your take on the win-win, I think it's a win too early to tell. Okay? I think we need to wait till the All-Star break with both before we make this solidified determination. All right. It's obvious for Vaughn Grissom why we need to wait a little longer to make this call. But for Chris Sale, I think it's still too early too. Let's see how he can do for a half of a year because he's going to need to step up with Spencer Strider.
If he can even make it through,
handle it. You know what I mean? And then the arm longevity with the injury history. Can he make it a healthy year? Can he make it through a half season? Healthy half season.
I say, how many innings do you expect out of Chris Sale, do you think, this year?
I mean, shit, man.
Because he's already at
36 and 2/3.
36, yeah.
Man, like 115. If he stays healthy, 120. That's not outlandish.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I feel like you can't
and that's a
expect
comeback,
like 160 innings out of him.
Even so, 110, 120 innings. And he keeps this ERA, WHIP, and strikeout total. It's comeback player of the year for the National League right there, if I've seen one. Not for nothing.
I could see that 100%. Now, before we go into predictions,
one
thing I want to point out is depending on how you look at this as glass half full, glass half empty, this is generally the right time to cruise into Atlanta and play Atlanta because their offense has stunk lately.
Yes,
like
sir.
Ozuna's really been the only real threat. And to the point, even Brian Snicker said, we're struggling offensively. There's no doubt. And so the way that I see this series going is, and yes, I'm going to say this, it's going to be a sweep one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
I know 2-game series are hard and whatnot, but we are either winning 2 or they are winning 2. There's going to be no splitsies in this one. Nothing.
I'd agree with you. It's a good take. It's a good take.
Just because like the offense, it can only be bad for so long. Like it really can, especially with the depth that lineup has. I'm hoping that the pitchers in Bailey's laboratory are geared up for this, ready to go and whatnot. But like it could go either way. We could absolutely pin them down. It could be 1-0 games, 2-0 games. We have no idea, but it's going to be a sweep one way or another. That's my take.
Yep. Okay. We haven't lost a series in a while until this last one against the Twins. And in order for our prediction, I said 16-10. You said 18-8.
18-8.
I think I got to do something here. That it's not the most positive thing in the world. We're gonna get swept here on the road. Reynaldo Lopez is going to throw a complete game no-hitter against us, and Chris Sale is going to scream like a fire-breathing dragon for 7 innings straight with 14 punch-outs against us, and also throw a shutout, but it's going to be combined with a couple bullpen guys. The Red Sox get a total of 2 hits in the series, make 7 errors, and it compounds beyond belief. And the pitching staff ERA climbs to above a 3 ERA for the season. And the Red Sox year is in question. And they're called frauds once again by not only these half-in, half-out Red Sox fans, but the rest of the nation as well.
I like what you're doing here. I really do. You're playing it down, and I love that. I love that because, like I said, it's going to be a sweep either way. I'll say this. I don't confidently say this, but they're going to sweep. So I have them sweeping. You have Atlanta sweeping. I like that.
Blow our doors off, Atlanta. Blow our doors off, I dare you. Do it. Do it. Try it out.
Do it. Just do it. Do it. Or the Sox can do it too. That'd be pretty fucking cool.
Try us, Atlanta. Give us all you got.
But like this is, to your point though, this is a big series coming up from. This is like we keep saying a true test and stuff like that, but like if we can claw our way out of this and like I said, come out with it, on our end like a sweep skis or something like that, there's going to be some positive vibes rolling in.
We'd be 21-16 if we swept. The Braves would be 20-14.
Oh.
I was looking the other night in my classic Trotta nostalgia at the standings for the MLB on MLB.com on the app. And I wanted to show you something interesting and our listeners something interesting that I noticed in the standings column. So there's a thing called weighted win-loss total. Okay, have you heard of it?
I haven't, but I think it's pretty, in my head, self-explanatory.
Yeah, pretty similar to like the weighted on-base average.
Weighted runs created plus.
Weighted runs created plus. There's a formula. I don't know it to a T, but there's got to be a formula to it that weighs in and makes an alternate win-loss total for the groups because the Red Sox are currently 19-16 actual, and their weighted win-loss is 22-13. To put that into perspective for you, I'm clicking the wild card slot, okay, in the standings. Weighted win-loss, teams similar to us, like tied or better than 22-13. Weighted win-loss totals. Tied with us is the Cleveland Guardians weighted win-loss 22-13, actual record 23-12. Next, you have the 22-12 weighted win-loss Baltimore Orioles. Their actual record's 23-11. You then have the 23-13 New York Yankees weighted win-loss total. Their actual is 23-13. The Kansas City Royals weighted win-loss is 23-13. Their actual win-loss total is 21-15. That's just AL. I won't bore you guys with the NL ones, but you understand the standard that I'm trying to set and the trend that we're seeing.
Those are some pretty good teams.
Those are the top teams in the league, and the only ones with a better weighted win-loss total as us are the Baltimore Orioles and the New York Yankees. Sucks that they're in our division.
Yeah.
But when you take that funky, that funky weighted win-loss stat, puts it into a little different perspective for you. Because we could be lucking out like the Miami Marlins last year and schmooze our way to a bunch of one-run victories in like the last couple innings of the game.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
And that weighted win-loss total would look a lot different. That would probably be much closer to 500. But here we are. Looking positive here with that
and
statistic.
You know what, though? That makes me happy with the weighted wins loss. I'm gonna look more into that stat to see what it
what it projects out,
what it actually means.
Yeah,
what it projects out to be and why and stuff like that. I'm a big believer in asking why when it comes to a lot of stuff. Like when I was teaching hitting, I always explained why we're doing this, as opposed to just telling somebody to do it. So yeah, I'm curious why that is, because that's an intriguing number right there to think about. And that's where like this team is sneaky good. Like they are. Obviously we lost some games that we should have won is really what it comes down to, but like they're sneaky good, man. Calling a World Series might have been aggressive last episode, but
Nope.
I still believe it.
Still not aggressive, man. It's not. The boys play with heart. They play hard every single pitch. We're in a wild card hunt right now into May. We're just a game and a half back, and that's we're that extra game, half game back because we didn't play today. All right. After we, if you're right, after we win tomorrow, we're a half game, hopefully back, and then we win the next good day. We're a half game up on the wild card.
I love to hear that. And I have all the positive energy in the world that it actually is going to happen. Now, I have one last question for you before closing thoughts.
What do you got?
How does the league adjust to Andrew Bailey and this pitching staff? And when they do, how does Andrew Bailey adjust to that? You know what I mean? Because, like, go ahead.
Yeah, there's no adjusting. Andrew Bailey is adjusting before they can adjust to the adjustments. Okay? I think he's just one extra step ahead, and he's dissecting and understanding these lineups that we're going against that much better than any other guy that we've seen do it with the Red Sox or with most other organizations here with this small sample size. It's kind of tough to adapt as an offense when he's not doing the same exact approach routine every single start for the starters. We've looked at the advanced numbers of like pitch usage game by game, and they're not really consistent for each pitcher, specifically the starters game by game. There's some days where Cutter's using that sort of 15, 20% with the cutter being more in the 40 range. And then there's other days where you see that sweeper in the 40% usage rate with that cutter down to the 15, 20s, and they flip-flop. Same thing with Tanner Houck. That Greg Maddux game that he had, you saw the usage of the splitter go up the wazoo to almost in the high teens. In most of his other starts, it's been very low teens, if in the teens at all. It's just based on how the lineup is playing currently. And I think that...
Well, I was just going to say, though, to your point, though, like, I wonder how much of that is based on to the lineup and like the game plan, and also I wonder how much Bailey has a feel for like his pitchers and is like, all right, like Cutter against the Cubs clearly did not have his splitter, threw it 4 times, got hit 4 times for a hit. He just nixed the splitter. So to your point that like he's already adjusting before a lineup gets a chance to adjust. I think that's actually a great take because I didn't know how to think about that when I thought of it, but I was like, eventually the league has to make an adjustment to this, just like any like lineup makes an adjustment to a pitcher, right? Like Shota Imanaga can't be this good for this long. Like eventually they're going to make an adjustment to him, and like I just wonder if the league's going to make an adjustment to Andrew Bailey. But to your point, they may just not because Andrew Bailey's going to be 2 steps ahead of him the whole time, like completely deviate from a game plan.
Andrew Bailey could be doing some really weird mental, psychological stuff going on here and putting his mind in himself in the shoes of that opposing team that they're facing's offensive coach, and trying to sit down and being like, all right, if I was the offensive coach here, if I was the hitting coach for this team, we'll call it the Braves here, how would I tell them to attack Cutter Crawford here and how to be successful against him? And then polar opposite of it. That's probably the most simple way that I can say is what's going on there and why people cannot really make the adjustment. Is this guy's putting himself in the perspective of what he's going up against.
I can see that because it's crazy what he's doing. I mean, we talk about it every episode, the sustainability, all that stuff, but I think it is sustainable at this point. I mean, again, we're going through there. Yes, the ERA is rising a little bit. We're using our bullpen more. Guys are probably getting a little bit tired and stuff like that, but we're getting pitchers back. Like,
yep.
I don't know. It's going to be fucking interesting. I'll tell you that much.
Damn right it will be.
Now, closing thoughts. Coming up here on an hour 40 minutes. What do you got for me? Anything?
Really hope I'm wrong about my Brave sweep prediction. Now we get our blows torn off, and our ERA goes back to like top 10 instead of top 2. I really hope I'm wrong. I hope they show up and set the tone. I hope they hear that Trotta's expecting a Brave sweep, and they are like, "Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. Watch this." And they're just squeezing titties obviously for 48 straight hours all over that goddamn field in Atlanta. Other side note, Ronald Acuna is pretty scary. He's a really good baseball player, but
he's pretty good.
I don't think he's going to do damage against us at all. That's my hot take here. I think he goes hitless in the series.
Andrew, who do you think is going to be the X factor for each team?
X factor for each team. Wilyer Abreu is going to be the X factor for the Red Sox. Can he stay hot at the plate? And then we're going to need A-grade defense with the way this offense of the Braves swings it. It's not going to be a ton of strikeouts, I think. For the opposing team, I think it's going to be Chris Sale. And you can kind of pick both starters. I'm going to do like the two-headed monster there for the Braves, especially because their offense is so booty cheeks right now. Besides Marcelo Ozuna, just batting above 300 with 10 bombs. Chris Sale and Lopez need to sustain what they have been doing, or even on a better scale because of the pitching staff that they're going up against and the amount of runs that we average per game as a defense. Those guys, if they can go out there and step the hell out for the Braves and shove it up the Red Sox's ass, it's going to be really hard for us to do anything at all. If they hold us to 1-2 runs max, with how polarizing our offense is, and the mishaps with our defense, it's scary. I'd go with the starters.
I'm going to go not shocked by a pitching coach picking the pitchers to be the X factor. I'm going to go on the flip side here and go hitters.
Ooh.
I think Jaron Duran's the X factor for us. I think he's a guy, I think he hits a home run this series. You heard it. Yep, I said his name. That's right. Jaron Duran's going to be the X factor. I think he's going to hit a home run. I think he's probably going to hit a double in the gap. He's going to steal a base or two. He's got the off day because he's been talking about he's been a little bit sore, but he's loved playing every day and stuff like that. He's got the off day today. Hopefully he's resting up. I think he's the X factor against Reynaldo Lopez.
Oh, he's rested.
On the flip side, I think it's going to be Matt Olson. Something, I don't know, something feels funky. Yeah, I said it.
Whoa.
Feels funky with Matt Olson.
Take it easy. He's got some pop. Yeah, I'm nervous. I'm nervous of a Cutter Crawford like hanging sweeper, hanging cutter, falling right into his barrel, going 400 plus. In like the fucking sixth inning with 2 runners on because of walks. Oh God!
Wow, you really are negative about this 2-game series here.
The Braves are a really, really good baseball team, and I haven't been watching much baseball outside of West Coast games when I get home and can't sleep, or the Red Sox when I have the opportunity to. I did not realize Reynaldo Lopez is the second coming of Jesus Christ this year, and I obviously I'm a big Chris Sale fan. I know he's been crushing it. I just didn't expect Reynaldo Lopez to be Jesus Christ here. That's going to be really tough.
But I don't think he is. I think that's the game that I don't want to say definitely win, but like that's the game to win if we're going to win one, considering he's coming off his worst start of the year. This is a chance for him to either bounce back or us to kind of keep piling on.
Hopefully we pile it on.
Amen. My closing thought is another thought-provoking question for you here.
What do you got?
Just a quick answer. We don't need to dive deep into this. I saw Carabas tweet this, and I thought it was a very interesting question. What do you think is the most realistic but unlikely World Series matchup?
Oh, God. Okay. Give me 5 seconds.
I'll tell you mine while you look yours up.
Go for it.
I think, genuinely,
Yeah.
the Red Sox versus the Cubs.
Wow. That's an interesting one. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Royals against the Washington Nationals. The Washington Nationals are currently tied for a wild card spot.
So I did see that, and honestly, the Washington Nationals intrigue me just because of their youth that they have, but also Jesse Winker has proved that last year was just a fluke. He doesn't really suck that bad and has been hitting nukes. I mean, he hit not that it's that impressive, 3-run homer, I believe, off of Alek Manoah in his return to the majors. He's been hitting the ball well. Luis Garcia, second baseman for them, very young still. It's hard. It's easy to forget that he's only 24 because he's been starting for like 4 years, but like he's starting to put it together. CJ Abrams, like Mackenzie Gore in the mound, Hunter Harvey, Kyle Finnegan in the bullpen.
Thomas.
They have like 4 dudes that throw 100 fucking miles per hour.
So
Lane Thomas, he just went on the IL, and Josiah Gray's still on the IL, but Lane Thomas was batting like 198, 186 with like 8 home runs and like 10 stolen bases.
He was going off last year. He went off last year too. He was a well above 260 hitter, if I recall. He had a great year. Now,
I love your KC take though, because KC interests me just because of what they've done in the past. They've shown that like these scrappy kind of teams can do it. But they also, I don't know if you know this, inquired about Luis Arias before he was traded from the Marlins to the Padres. They inquired about trading for him, which seems like they're looking for an upgrade either at DH, first, second, or third base, because he can play all those.
Yes.
Which my guess would be DH because of Hunter Renfroe and Nelson Velasquez.
Yes. Then they had one of the better off seasons when you look at across the league. You already know if they sustain their success into the All-Star break, into the trade deadline, that they're going to be big buyers by the way they attack the offseason. They know that their window's approaching, and I think that they're going to go on and seize it quietly like they've been doing.
I think if anything, their window's approaching, but also like closing to some extent. What I mean by that is like they signed like aging guys like Jordan Lyles, Michael Wacha, Hunter Renfroe.
Like 1 year, yeah.
Who else did they sign? like 1-2 year deals. Seth
Seth
Lugo's
Lugo.
like these older guys that have been performing for them outside of Renfro. So like they do still have the young core with Michael Garcia, Bobby Witt, obviously, and I'd love to see him in a World Series.
Yeah,
Michael Massey at second base, Pasquantino, the Pasquatch at first base.
love that, man.
Your outfield consists of what's it called? MJ Melendez out there, who's sucking right now, but if he ever puts it together, could hit 30 bombs. Sal, Freddie. I mean, they got a little scrappy team, and I like them. That's a good pick. Mine's obviously a biased pick, 100%.
Yeah, just a little bit, but that's okay. We like it.
I bet $100 for the Sox to win the World Series, so I'm just all in on it.
Yeah, I'm all in
I
on
could
it
use
too.
the extra 10 grand.
I'm all on. I am all in on it too. While you were talking there, I was really intrigued and wanted to like figure out what John Schreiber has been doing on the mound this year.
I got Schreiber
Because he's over there, and I just pulled it because he was one of my favorite guys going into this year before he got traded. It sucks because he was over there at Driveline working on a new cutter to bring into the season, if you remember, going into the Christmas break. He's currently 3-0 with a 1.10 ERA with 16 and a third innings pitched, 12 Ks, and a 0.98 ERA with the Royals out of their bullpen. And man, that makes me really happy to see that Johnny Schreiber piece is still chucking it out there with a lot of success behind it.
That does make me happy too. Like I thought you were going to say it makes me miss him, and don't get me wrong, I do miss him.
Yeah, I miss him, but
I don't miss him. I miss him in the sense of I just miss John Schreiber because like of what he did for us and all that stuff. But like he hasn't been missed in this bullpen, if that makes sense.
Not necessarily.
Like,
No,
we haven't skipped a beat. But no, I'm happy for his success. But that's a little Royals talk for you there, which you're not going to hear too often on a Red Sox podcast.
New. But hey, we love ball. We'll talk about any team, anytime, anywhere.
Amen. But with that, thanks for listening. Appreciate it. If you made it this far, good for you. Go listen. Go follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Trotta is the best and is putting out some great content on our social media and stuff. So go like it. Go enjoy. It's pretty funny.
Woo! Go team.
Woo!
Let's go win a
Go
baseball
team. See
game or two.
after the Braves on Thursday.
Bye.